Alright, your textbook asked you to find the probability that when you throw a coin 2 times, you'll get a head both times. So we first need to talk about what probability is and talk about what happens when coins flip and toss, okay? So we're going to talk about probability, and it's a fraction. And in the denominator, this is the possible outcomes. And the numerator is the number of times that it can happen. Okay, so let's use this and let's talk about a coin toss, okay? And so the 2 possibilities for a coin when it's flipped, it can land on heads or it can land on tails, okay? So let's go over here and do some analyzing. We're going to flip the coin 2 times. The first time we flip a coin, we could get it on heads or tails. Move that down a little bit there. The second time we flip it, we still can get those 2 possibilities. If we flipped it and got heads the first time and then flipped it again, we could get it on heads again and tails. But if when we were flipping it the first time and got a tails, when we flipped it again, we could get a heads and a tails. Okay? So, when we flip the coin 2 times, there are 4 possible outcomes. Okay? That goes in the denominator. But there was only 1 time that we could get the heads, and that was right here. Flipped it, hit once with heads, and second with heads. These other ones did not happen. They did not get a heads. This we got first a head, then a tail. Then this one was a tail and a head. And this one was a tail and a tail, okay? So there was only one possible way we could get a heads first and a heads second. So our answer is 1 out of 4. Now we can continue with this and could do 3 tosses and 4 tosses. But this is what the textbook was basically talking about. So if we move on, they were talking about a spinner now, and there was, I believe, 3 different colors. And so when you spin it the first time, I think we could get red and yellow and green, or something, 3 different colors, okay? And then we can do the same thing, but now we're going to do with 3 possibilities instead of 2. So this red will branch out 3 times, the yellow will branch out 3 times, and the green will branch out 3 times. Because when we spin it the first time, we can get red, green, and yellow and green. But then when we roll it the second time, we could get those 3 possibilities again. So with the red, we can get red, yellow, green. That's what they wanted you to fill out in that book there with the rest of that page. And so when you rolled it spin it a second time, when you got the yellow, when you spun it again, you can get red, yellow, and green. And then if you spun it the first time and got green, then when you spun it again, you could get red, yellow, and green. Okay? So there was lots of different questions they can ask now. They could ask, what's the probability that I could get 2 reds? And so we have to know the total possible outcomes that there are. And if we look here, if you count the red, yellow, green, and red, yellow, green 3 times here and all those, we'll get 9. But the possibility here that we would get a red twice would only be 1, because we started off with red and then we went to another red, okay, the second time. So it's 1/9 that we could get 2 reds. But if the probability that we got a, let me think of another problem here, that we got a green and a red, but it didn't matter what order, we could get a green and a red, or a red and a green. Let's look at that. So it didn't matter if we just wanted those two colors, right? So we have a green at the beginning right here, and a red, the second color, that will match that one. So there's one right here. And then if we want to get a red-green, that's this combination right here. So there's two different ones. So we would put a 2 out of 9 as my probability. Okay, let's try to do this without having to draw out these pictures. Let's go back over here to the coin toss. Let me get rid of this here. Okay. I want you to notice that when there is two possibles at the beginning, when we do it once, it's 2 to the 1 power, okay? But when we flip it a second time, it turns into 2 to the 2nd power. That's going to be the denominator of that fraction. So this was 2 to the 1 power is 2. There was 2 possibilities here. And 2 to the 2 is 4. There were 4 possibilities, okay? So let's move over here. When we have 3 possibles at the beginning here, we're going to have 3 to the 1 power when we roll it, when we spin the spinner one time. But we'll have 3 to the 2nd power when we roll it a second time. So the exponent's going to be like the rolling or the spinning. And the number that's what we call the base down here is the number of initial possibilities. So the initial possibilities, we had red, yellow, and green, so there were 3. Okay, that's going to help you to determine what goes in the denominator of your fraction when we had like the 1/9 last time. Okay, so I hope all of this stuff has helped you to understand what's in your workbook there. Let me know if you have any other questions that you'd like to send me.